If you happen to be someone who enjoys playing landfall decks, and you also happen to be someone who enjoys playing graveyard decks, then this deck's gonna be perfect for you. I'm Sven, and welcome to the channel, Ceaseless MTG. Tasigur is a popular EDH commander since, thanks to its activated ability, any kind of infinite mana combo simply lets you play your entire deck. Today we're doing something different. This is not a EDH deck, which means that this is not a list optimized for competitive play, but rather what I would call a really strong casual commander deck. Also, it's meant as a source of inspiration for your own deck building and not something to go and copy and bring to a tournament. This deck is first and foremost a lands deck, more specifically a graveyard lands deck. There isn't really anything about Tasigur that pushes you in the direction of building your deck around land synergies, but there are a lot of sweet utility lands in the sultai color combination that happen to also be graveyard focused. And there's definitely a clear graveyard theme going on with both of Tasigur's ability. And with the main theme of the deck being lands, let's begin by going over the many sweet utility lands in the deck. Field of the Dead is arguably the strongest of the bunch and is pretty much a no-brainer in a lands deck. The channel lands are also great since they fit the other theme of the deck by putting themselves into the graveyard while providing some utility. We're also playing the powerful combo of Cabal Coffers and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth to make all the mana. And then we have the Dark Depths and Thespian Stage combo as another way to make a high impact on the board with the help of lands. Phyrexian Tower and High Market gives us land-based sack outlets, which is relevant with a couple of pretty sweet cards we get into later. Argoth is a land that lets us self-mill. Also, spoiler alert, we're playing the new Titania. Teleria West is a land that puts itself in the graveyard while tutoring up whatever other land we're looking for. Maze of Ith is a really sweet land for protection against opposing big beaters, while also having pretty sweet political applications. Oboro Palace in the Clouds is a really cool way of getting a lot of landfall triggers in, since it can bounce itself, so you always have a land to play. And lastly, Vesuva is another clone land that's gonna, most of the time, just gonna be your second Field of the Dead, but definitely can do a lot of other interesting stuff as well. All in all, this deck gets a lot of utility out of the mana base. We want to be able to consistently have access to all these awesome lands, so we're packing a bunch of ways to tutor them up. Elvish Reclaimer, Crop Rotation, Sylvan Scrying and Ulvenwald Hydra all tutor up a land, with Reclaimer being repeatable every turn. Hour of Promise, Realms Uncharted, Kura the Boundless Sky, Nylea's Intervention, Titania's Command and Scapeshift all tutors up multiple lands, which means that you can grab your 2-land combos with just one spell, as well as getting a lot of landfall triggers in. We also have Neoform, a tutor that's not exactly tutoring up lands, but it's simply too sweet with the Tasigur. It's easy to cast Tasigur for very cheap, thanks to Delve, and then Neoform can turn Tasigur into a 7-drop, which can be really explosive. I also decided that it made sense to mention the fact that we're playing all the fetch lands we have access to here. They're just great for fixing and they put themselves into the graveyard. Speaking of the graveyard, we have a few ways to fill it up. Stitcher Supplier, Seda Wayfinder, Grizzly Salvage and Witherbloom Command are doing that at a solid rate and they're all really on theme. We also have a little dredge with Stinkweed Imp and probably the most on-theme card in the deck, Life from the Loam. Crucible of Worlds, Ramunap Excavator, Conduit of Worlds and Ancient Green Warden lets us play lands from the graveyard, which makes it really hard for our opponents to deal with things like Field of the Dead. Also, double landfall triggers is nothing to scoff at. We also have Slowgurg the Overslime and Titania Voice of Gaia, the Gidrock Monster and OG Titania Protector of Argoth that are all payoffs for having lands into the graveyard. And also melding little Titania isn't even that hard in this deck thanks to all the tutors. Reanimate is just too good to pass since we're playing some fatties at the top end, which we'll get to later. We also have Eternal Witness because we're a graveyard deck and it's an awesome value card. And the closest thing we get to actually playing interaction in the deck is Living Death, which is just a really awesome card in graveyard decks. Since we're a land deck, we're kinda automatically also a ramp deck, with almost all our ramp, apart from the obligatory Sol Ring, being land-based. Coiling Oracle, Sakura Tribe Elder, Risen Reef, and Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, are all really good creature-based ways of land ramping. Lotus Cobra produces mana whenever a land enters the battlefield, which can quickly spin out of control. Azusa, Lost but Seeking, Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and Oracle of Moldoya provides us with additional land drops each turn. We also have Burgeoning and Exploration, which both do the same. And with the Nature's Law, 3 Visits, and Farseek, we get the full package of the Tutor and Untap dual land in play on turn 2 effects. Harrow is very similar, although both more powerful and expensive. Explore and Growth Spiral also ramps us on turn 2 while netting us a card in the process. World Shaper and Splendid Reclamation have some crazy potential since the deck has a lot of ways of filling the graveyard with lands. Apart from just activating Tasigur's ability, we need more things to do with all the mana that we make. Tatiova, Benthic Druid, and AZ Tyrant of the Gyre Strait lets us draw cards when lands enter the battlefield, which is going to be a lot of cards drawn. Cultivator Colossus is of course going to be huge, but most importantly it's going to let us chain land drops and draw cards in the process, which is perfect for our game plan. Another way to capitalize on making a lot of mana is having something big to ramp into. Villainous Wealth is a great option here as there is no limit to how much mana you can sink into it. Same goes for Awaken the Woods, which is also a fantastic way of generating massive amount of landfall triggers. And while on the topic of landfall, we're playing Skewed Swarm and Avenger of Zendikar to just make massive boards that people shouldn't let you untap with. And to top it all up, we have Yarok the Desecrated to double up all the landfall triggers and various ETB effects in the deck. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and you want to see more future content like this, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It's a free and easy way to support me and I'd very much appreciate that. Also, if you've got any feedback on the deck list that you'd like to share, then let me know in the comments down below. Maybe there's a card you think that I forgot, or maybe there's some card in the list that you think does not belong there. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.